Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Her STEM Story. I'm so excited to talk about a very important topic. So, the stats about toxic workplaces are all over the place. From a Fortune survey reporting that 64% workers found their workplace toxic, to an APA Work in America workforce survey stating that one in five respondents said their work's environment harmed their mental health. The stats clearly point at one thing, that workplaces are declining, and this risks the psychological safety of minorities across the world. With layoffs, the stress on the global economy, and more work to tackle, this is not going to change anytime soon. In such a situation, is there a way out of this mess? If so, how can women in STEM find a way out of a toxic workplace without getting bogged down by the insecurities and uncertainties that await them? We're here to find that out and a lot of answers to some of your questions. I'm super excited to welcome Anupama Udayan, a friend and a member of the Believe in Your Brilliance community. For the last few months, I've had the honor of collaborating with Anupama to uncover her life's purpose. Anupama has an interesting career path, from biotech engineering to a quality professional and now a confidence coach. She's a mom of almost a 1 year old since she has a leap year baby. Today, we'll discuss Anupama's journey from biotechnology to confidence coaching, how her corporate life broke her down, and how she built herself back up. If you're a mom in a toxic job or a minority who's struggling to get out of a toxic environment, Anupama is the relatable role model you need to follow right now. If you're struggling to quit a toxic workplace, Anupama has the strategies for you. And if you want more from your STEM journey, then Anupama is the person to look up to. So let's get right into it and welcome Anupama Udayan. Thank you so much for joining us, Anupama.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah.
Finally.
Oh,
Yes.
so exciting. So thank you so much for joining us. You're joining us all the way from Dubai. So this is exciting. You're
Yes.
probably my first guest to
Mhm.
interview all the way from the Middle East. So let's dive right into it, Anupama. When did you realize that your workplace was getting toxic for you?
Uh, when it comes to toxicity, it's not like you get to know about it in a day, a week. It kind of accumulates over time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in my case, I was noticing that right from the beginning, starting from the interview process, there were some red flags which I did not take into consideration when taking up the job.
Mm-hmm.
So over a period of time, like I worked in that place for a year, close to a year. I couldn't even complete a year actually.
Wow.
What happened was there was a lot of communication problems. There was a lot of miscommunication. There was absolutely no work-life balance, of course,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they promoted a culture where working on Saturdays, okay, Saturdays, forget Saturdays, working on Sundays is considered normal.
Wow.
Working after getting back home late into the
Mm.
night, early mornings, all these things are considered good, a sign
Mm.
of a good employee.
Yeah.
So uh, now I was a mom, right? I got into a working environment after having a 2.5 year break,
Mm.
a maternity break. I took that time off to raise my daughter, and when she turned 2, I got back into the workforce. So for
Mm.
me, all these things were actually extremely overwhelming, and I was kind of losing myself in the
Yeah.
process. I couldn't stay happy anymore, and it was affecting my family, it was affecting my daughter. I
Yeah.
could see it. it was
Yes.
it was very obvious. It was affecting everybody. And
Yeah.
okay, when I realized that no, this is not working for me, I need to take a step back because I need a sound mind
Mm.
to raise my child in a in a
Yeah.
in a happy environment. That's crucial for me. That is my priority.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, like, okay, I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna
Mm.
get my confidence back. I'm gonna do something for myself,
Mm.
whether it's if it's another job or maybe
Mm.
starting my own business, whatever it is, I'm gonna do it in my own terms. So
Yes.
that's that's pretty much my story.
I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, I love that you were able to step away from it and also have the awareness that this is actually affecting the quality of life, like my quality of life and the quality of life of the people that I love, and why I'm doing all of this. And I think that is one thing that people tend to forget, or like don't even think about, because they feel like there's no other way. Like I feel like that's the big block for a lot of women or a lot of people who of course depend on a job for finances, but also just because the way they saw their family grow up, the way they saw like their parents work really, really hard, right? So they kind of feel like that's the only way, and that's the hard part. So before we jump into how you found a way out and how others can too, I want to also dive a little bit deeper into some signs of toxicity. I think you shared some of them, like it's normal to work on weekends, it's normal to work late hours. What are some other signs that women should be on the lookout for before it's too late? Because I've personally experienced where, I let these little signs like just go by. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. Like it just status quo. And then it became a big incident, and it was really risky because during that incident, I could have lost my job too, right? Like if there is so much animosity, anger, or if it turns out into this big dramatic situation, then you're more at risk for multiple kind of consequences that come with that, right? Like for example, if you blow up and push somebody, which is what happened to me, or if you do something like, just because it's so much, you can't take it anymore, you're putting so much at risk. You're putting like literally your reputation, your career, if you continue to ignore some of these early signs. And being someone who's faced that, I think it's a very important thing to discuss of like, what do you think there are some signs that women should be on the lookout for and really pay close attention to, rather than waiting till it's too late?
One of the things that I would really want women to look out for, like some things within ourselves, like, are you getting up every day with Monday morning blues? Like every single day of the week, you have the
Yeah.
Monday morning blues. You're just dreading the idea of going to office and
Mm.
working, and there is zero motivation, and there is well, some, like, you're dreading phone calls. Like,
Mm.
you won't believe it, Prasha, I used to jump every time I got a phone call. Like, I
Mm.
I had come to a point where every Teams message, the tone, the ringtone, everything used to freak me out, and I was like,
Mm.
oh my god, is this how I'm gonna live? Is this how I'm gonna continue my life, living in
Yeah.
fear? I was like, no, that's of course I did endure it. I'm not saying I did,
Yeah.
but that is why I'm able to recognize it. That no,
Mm.
I endured it for two different occasions, and it is common. It was common in both cases. So I
Right.
realized that, yeah, like, if you cannot work in your own terms, in your
Mm.
comfort zone, and you are constantly micromanaged, or every
Mm.
step of the way,
Yeah.
everything that you do is under a microscope,
Yeah.
then yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of gets very difficult to be yourself, be your confident self. It's just chipping away at your confidence. You are
Yes.
not yourself at the end of the day, and that is something women can recognize. Like, you don't have to keep thinking that, oh my god, I'm so lucky I got that job, or
Mm.
like it could be worse somewhere else. Like, if I leave this and go somewhere else, what if it's worse there? So
Yeah.
these are some of the thoughts which
Come
I
to
think
mind.
women, yeah,
Mm.
these are things which come to mind. They'll be
Yeah.
like having that unwanted gratitude that at least I have a job when
Yes.
thousands are unemployed. I mean, you can get a job elsewhere, some place which is better,
Yeah.
which is better at understanding your
Mm.
role as a. I'll talk about working moms because
Yes.
that's when I really faced the
Yeah.
pinch, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
a
think,
workplace has to understand that you are a mom first.
yeah, and I think what you're
Mm,
sharing is more like feeling the dread way too much. So
mm.
maybe even, keeping a log of like how many days did I feel dreadful? And like if you have a
And
30-day
looking,
30
you're
day
just
log.
waiting for the weekend. Like, that's
Yeah.
all you're waiting for.
Constantly,
Nothing
yeah.
else.
And then the other thing you mentioned was like micromanaging. if you doubt every word that comes out of your mouth, or if every project that you submit feels like you're going to be you're going to be called out on all the time and you're not able to express yourself. So those were like a couple of things. And finally, if it sort of overflows in your family life, right, where you're really not
Yeah.
able to be the mom that you need to be. Like I've spoken to so many moms where they honestly don't even have the bandwidth to look after their children because they're constantly overthinking and worried about the workplace that they need to like go back to. And they can't be present. They just don't have the energy, because it's so toxic. And one thing you mentioned, I think the best way to summarize what you were saying, some guest, like one of the guests on her STEM story, actually shared this with me a long time ago. But that's what comes to mind. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's little things, but it's like over
Yeah.
time they compound,
Yes, they do. They do.
right?
There were days when I was coming back home
Mm,
and I will just come back home. I'll open my laptop and I'm back to work. I don't even have that kind of feeling to
mm,
ask my daughter, "Hey, babe, how are you? How's your day? What did you do?" And
yeah.
she's just like 2.5 years at that point. And
Mm,
of course, she needs a nurturing environment. She
yes.
deserves it. And denying her of that in
Right.
the name of your job is, I don't know, it doesn't resonate with
Add up.
me.
Yeah, it doesn't add up. I think
Yeah.
eventually you
Yeah.
have to. um yeah, I think having a clear um way to take account for some of these things versus feeling like that's how every job is supposed to be. I think that's the second thing you touched on, is like to feel this fake gratitude that, oh my god, I at least have a job when everybody's getting laid off. Sure, there are certain economic environments where you may not necessarily you can't necessarily walk from a job and then look for another job. There are also certain family situations that people may or may not be able to walk away from. But at the same time, I think to undermine what's happening to you, is what you were, I think, pointing out at, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So being like, no,
If
no,
I
it's
may,
fine.
there's a personal example which I want to share. It's
Please.
it's my dad's example. So he worked all the way till 69. He
Mm,
worked just till he was like 3 or 4 months short of 70. So he's
wow.
worked like a long time.
Mm,
And when it was time to say goodbye to his career, to everything, he was put under a lot of pressure in his workplace.
mm,
He had been going through it for a long time, but uh, I guess, it kind of compounds daily, and then one fine day you
yeah.
just erupt. And he suffered a
Yes.
mini stroke because of that. He
Ooh,
suffered a mini stroke. So all these things, the stress, the
wow.
burnout, it leads
Catches up to you.
to health complications. Yes. I
Right.
mean, thankfully for him, I mean, we got him back, and that's like one of the things that I'm most thankful for. But
Mm.
just imagine what a workplace is capable of doing to you.
Yes, I love that.
That's
I mean,
that's
I
my
love that you
point.
share. Yeah, I think you share such a great story, and also, I am, I'm happy. I'm excited that you brought it together in that sense. I'm so sorry for your father's experience, but like my next question was going to be this exact question of like, what is the real cost of staying in a toxic workplace for too long, and how else can this impact families? You just shared how it impacted your family, which
Yes.
kind of makes a lot of sense that you're so passionate about this work.
Yeah, I am, because families suffer the consequences of these things. You might think that it's unrelated, right?
Mm,
Like some people do think, like work life and professional life and personal life are separate entities. But the truth is they are interconnected in every way possible. And it's like a domino effect, you
mm,
start, something starts falling at one end, and it
mm,
has effects, it has ramifications on a totally different level of your life, a totally different area of your life. And you may not realize it. You may just think that no, it's not going to affect my
yeah.
physical health in any way. But there are studies related to that. People can even get cancer because of that.
Wow.
So we cannot really, separate these two things. They are interlinked, way more than we give it credit for. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
it's important that you think about this as,
especially if you're spending like almost like a third or more than a third of your life in a
Yes.
workplace, right? Versus you probably spend more time with your work colleagues than your kids. Like like
Yes.
that's how integrated the two are. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
So
if it's a
one
9 hour work, if it's
yeah,
a 9 hour
job.
job, you'll at least spend 11 hours or maybe even 12 hours because of the commute and all those things. And
Mm-hmm.
if you are somebody who sleeps 6 to 7 hours, what does that leave you? You're left with like 4 to 5 hours in between, and that will be taken up as a working mom. I know it'll be taken up by housework and
Yeah.
cooking and cleaning, a lot of those things. So where is the
Yeah.
time left?
And if you're in a toxic workplace, I feel like the time that you do have left would be spent in dreading about the workplace that you have to go back to.
Yes, yes.
So
It doesn't make sense.
right. So the cost of
Yeah.
staying, it seems like you're like the way you're sharing it, I think definitely the health, the mental health, the families that are impacted. Um, but another cost, hidden cost that, I would like to share more and, discuss with you more is this hidden cost of performance, right? So if you are burning out, if you're in a toxic work environment, then you are not performing at your fullest, like you said in the beginning. You're not 100% confident, and then you pay actual professional fee, like professional cost of not getting promoted, being stuck in the same role for years, and that again in number of dollars also compounds over the course of your career because you just couldn't perform at the levels you wanted to because of the environmental misfits. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
it's true. It does. It does.
Mhm.
It totally makes sense because you. Why do you work at the end of the day? Why does anybody work? Because
Yeah.
we need money. Yeah, we don't do it because we really enjoy working. I mean, that's something that. Okay, fine. Like if you're running your own business and stuff, it's a different story. But like if we are actually going to work, it's
Mm,
mainly because we want money, right? Like
right.
there's no way to sugarcoat that. We need money to survive.
Yeah.
So if we are not getting that, it's all, see, again, I'm coming to the same point. It's all interlinked. You're not even able to perform to get that money. Means what's the point of sticking to it? It
Hmm.
just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So there's
mm,
definitely a lot of impact of that. And Maria shares that as an entrepreneur, I also was making this mistake, working too much and being my own worst boss. I also had to take a step back and re-examine my work-life balance. Yeah. I mean, in
mm,
entrepreneurship, we can create some toxicity without even realizing and being like, wait a minute, I think I have quit a toxic work environment to create one myself. So I love that
yeah.
honest share. Thanks, Maria. But yeah, I think there's so many costs, and I think the one thing that people have to continue to think about is the long term impact and the compound effect of like these little decisions that you're making, whether it's like we said, chipping away to confidence, the dollar amount you're losing in terms of like how much money you can make if you're fully confident and in a more conducive work environment. But then there are other losses, like you said, the families, that are getting affected in that time. Of course, you can't get back. Now, moving into the solution to this. So there's so many things that make a workplace toxic. Like I shared at the top of the call, I think the fact that we have a lot more layoffs, so more people are getting more burdened. We also have this weird time we're in where we're post COVID, but now companies want us to come back to work. Like there's a lot of like many factors that are playing here, but at the same time, the economy is getting so much worse around the world. Um, so and for this conversation we're talking a little bit more worldwide, right? Like we're trying to go a little bit global. But then tell me, what would be the first step? So let's say somebody has recognized the toxicity that they're in, where they're stuck. What would be their first step to sort of plan their exit or be like, okay, enough is enough? I really need to find a way out, considering these hard boundaries of the bills that need to be paid and the economy getting worse, and and then just this whole overload of work that they are finding themselves in. So I've recognized the toxicity. What should be my first step to plan an exit?
While planning the exit, most of the people actually uh, override a lot of facts and jump right to the stage where they start applying for the next jobs and they don't think about anything. They're like, I need the next job. But actually, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people would understand this, you
Yeah.
should start with understanding why you're quitting in the first place.
Mm,
You're quitting because it's a toxic workplace, right? What are the factors which you don't want to see in your next workplace? What are those
mm,
factors? And is it something about you? Is it something about them? Is it something that I can work my way through? Or
yes.
all those factors, you need to understand why you're making that move
Mm,
first of all.
yes.
Secondly, you have to determine your values. You have to determine your values, the values for which you are working in the first
Mm,
place, and make them your non-negotiables. For example, like for me, empathy is a huge core value for me.
yeah.
If I'm looking for a workplace after my toxic job, I would always look for that. Like, is this
Mm,
workplace an empathetic workplace? Is
mm,
this some place where people run by emotions? And what is the culture like? What is the
yeah.
company culture like? So
Yeah.
those are the things that you really need to, like,
Yeah.
before you go and start updating your resume and starting to apply for 1,000 jobs. Like, understand these things. These are the things that you want to know. And also make a proper checklist of all
Mm,
the things that you want to ask your future employer during an interview process. Maybe you want to ask them that,
oh, good.
okay, so these are the things that
Mm,
I hold dear. Like, or
yes.
you have to frame it in such a way that they are able to give you the answers that you are looking
Mm,
for, and you're convinced that yes, this is the place I want to work for.
yeah.
And also, I think part of that is also networking with people from the organization and
Mm,
understanding and talking to them about that. That's
mm,
of course like in a very detailed process,
mm,
but these are like small steps that you can take towards making your exit. And finally, when, like, if you're somebody who doesn't want to quit without a job
yeah.
in hand, then you're planning. You can maybe plan to quit 2 or 3 months after you finally decided that you're
Mm,
going to quit, and you can use that time to maybe get a coach or
yeah.
maybe get some help of some sort. A career coach
Mm,
can help, a confidence coach can help you. They can
yeah.
help you make that
Jump.
quit into a victory in
Yes.
every. That's the thing that I want to come to. Like, that quit is not a lack of resilience or a sign of weakness. It's
Mm,
victory for you. You
yeah.
successfully extracted yourself from a
Mm,
bad thing, and you're going to get into the next good thing. That's what I
amazing.
want to
I
focus
love
on. Yeah.
I love that. So what I'm hearing is like once you've identified that leaving is the only option, then instead of just jumping and doing it, the first step is to take inventory of like what went, kind of like what went well, what did not go well, what do I kind of need
Yes.
next. But then also, like you said, like a checklist of your non-negotiables. I love those pointers. I think that is a more intentional way to quit because, like you said, I think when people think of quitting, they think that they failed or that it's such a negative thing. But it's in those endings that something great can begin if you choose to take the time to make it such. And I think you're such a great example of that. Of like, you did quit, but then you used all of that time and energy to figure out like what you should do next. So the quit doesn't seem like such a bad thing, right? And if you are struggling with finances, we're going to get into that in a second. But then same thing, like take your time. You don't have to jump tomorrow. Like, we're not saying you should quit tomorrow. What we're talking about here, and what you do, what you help people do, is like quit with confidence, quit with more confidence than you had before, and kind of
Correct.
change it into a victory, like turn it into something incredible.
Yeah. I think when it comes to quitting, right, most of the people have that sense of failure, that
Mm,
I failed to make this
what?
a successful job.
Mm,
Okay, so I also had that. I'm not saying that I didn't have that. I did
mm,
have it. But when
mm,
I came to a point where I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm quitting. I remember I was sitting. in the living room, my daughter came to me and she just hugged me and she's like, "It's okay, Mama, you can do it."
Oh.
And I was like, "Look at the confidence this 3-year-old has in
Mm,
me. She has that confidence in me.
wow.
What is stopping me from having that kind of confidence in me?
Mm,
Nothing. Like,
mm,
yes, the reality is there, that the finances, the security of a job not being there, financial dependence, and one point which I forgot to mention, judgment. Like,
mm.
so much
Yeah.
judgment from everyone, society, family, all those things. But when she came and told me, "Mama, it's okay," I'm like, "Yeah, actually, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Can figure it out." The thing is, we have that power. We just don't realize we have
Yeah.
it. And it's all about strategizing. Like you
Yeah.
always say, it's about
Yes.
strategizing. It's not
Yes.
about
It's
just
always the way.
taking a
Hmm.
blind step. It's about strategizing and making your move work the best for you. Like,
I love
how
that.
exactly is this going to work for you? That's it.
Yeah. I
So,
think, and I think another thing that you're sharing, that was such a beautiful story. I think if we look up to our kids, I think we should be inspired by them. They're so free. They're so
so
positive, so
confident. Like,
confident. And now they're smarter, way
very.
smarter than us.
Mm.
So I love
There's
that.
a reason for that. They are pure. Okay,
Mm,
they don't have any of these external biases affecting their decisions, their confidence, their
mm,
ability to think straight. They say exactly what comes in their mind. They cry when they want to cry, they laugh when they want to laugh. They are so free. But
yeah.
are we as adults the same? We need to
Yes.
think about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
why like when I saw your Instagram video the other day about hype dance, I'm like,
Yes.
yes, why not? Why can't we just get up and dance? Who's stopping us then?
I love it. I love it. So,
Yeah.
one of the things that women continue to struggle with a lot is, like you mentioned, like being in this mindset of like, what would other people think that I have failed? And, I think it's sort of also a victim mindset that I see a lot of times. And not to blame the victim, not to say that what's happening to you at your workplace is fair, but I've also seen people sort of sink into a lot of negativity that comes with being in bad teams or being in bad environments for too long, and they tend to have a victim mindset. And I think for this transition to be smooth for people, they would have to change that mindset, right? So talk to me a little bit about how you help people do that, or how you think people can do it on their own as well, which is, how can they switch from this victim mindset to a winner mindset, which is what you just described. Like, quitting does not have to mean that you lost or failed, but it
Yeah.
means you actually became a winner of that situation. But I feel like there's a lot of mindset stuff that has to happen for that switch to happen. What are some ways that someone can start making that switch from that all the negativity that they've been stuck in?
Yeah. I love this question because well, my husband has been my biggest cheerleader. Okay, ever since I've been married, he has
Mm,
been my biggest cheerleader, and he always told me about this coach,
mm,
Liverpool coach. His
yeah.
name is Jurgen Klopp, I think,
Okay.
and he has this. His he has this thing called mentality monster.
Oh.
So,
Mm,
mentality monster is, it just means that your mentality is everything.
mm,
If you decide that you have the least amount of resources and you can't go ahead and do anything, you cannot succeed, you don't have this, you don't have that, you keep
mm,
telling yourself that you can't, in this kind of circumstance you just can't thrive.
mm,
It's your mentality which is stopping you from that. On the other hand, you tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna
mm,
really use these limited resources and I'm going to go ahead and win. And you
mm,
keep repeating this to yourself. Don't you think one day you're just going to go and actually win? So I don't have to like say that, you have to see this for yourself. You can actually check out sports. In sports, there are so many such
yeah,
examples. Like
exactly. Yeah.
teams lose, okay, within 1 or 2 days, they get back on the field and then they
Start
what do
winning.
you say, yeah, the day that they lose, they would feel like, oh my god, everything is over, we are victims of loss.
Yeah.
But like, don't they come back, don't they get back on
Yeah.
their feet, and then they go and play yet another day, and maybe they might win, maybe they might lose, but they keep
Mhm.
doing it, right? So
Yes.
isn't that something that we have the privilege of
Mm.
not being in such high pressure situations. Okay, it may not be as high pressure as it is on the sports field. There's a different
Mm.
kind of pressure, but the tactic is the same, right? You have to
Mm.
be a monster. You have to be a mentality monster, and you have to train your mentality. You have to train your mind that, okay, fine, you know what? Keep all these things aside. I'm going to go and get what I want.
Yes.
And a lot of things which I learned through your program has
Mm.
actually helped me become a mentality monster.
Mhm.
For example, the exercise of jotting down the daily wins,
Mhm.
however small they are,
Yeah.
they are a huge dopamine
Huge.
rush at the end of the day. You
Right.
start feeling like a winner every single day because of that.
Mhm.
And at, like, as a result of that, you will develop a growth mindset, you will
Yeah.
develop habit changes. Everything
Yeah.
somehow feels like, you know, you are on the right path, you are
Right.
walking
I,
towards success.
yeah. I absolutely love that analogy. I love the not analogy, but like that reference because sports is such a big thing. I think what like you're saying, like I think a lot of people are stuck in a victim mindset because they're not able to realize that that's just a bad habit, like to go in those thought patterns, right? And so like you mentioned the activity of like putting your wins down or repeating positive affirmations or like whichever way you want to sort of train your mentality monster. I feel like a lot of that is a lot about changing that habit and realizing that just by changing your thoughts you can actually change your life just by changing some of the activities you're doing, meaning currently maybe you're spending an hour. One big thing I will share, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, just literally on the similar lines, is like you will become more of a victim if you're surrounding yourself with people who listen to you complain a lot. I've seen that so much. I sometimes get on these calls with potential clients and potential future people, and within the 10 minutes I can tell that they just want to vent and they just want to complain. And and that feels cathartic and that feels good, but when you do it way too much, then you're just training your brain to be the opposite of the winner mindset that you're looking for, right? Like because you're repeating all the negativity that you go through every single day. And I feel like so many people just continue to make things worse because they will call their mom and talk about it for 2 hours, they'll call their friends, they'll talk about it for 2 hours. I've done that myself. Like, where I got stuck in some place and I just complained to everybody. And then I realized, hold on, this is actually making things 10 times worse. And I first need to stop the repetition of those negativity or those negative things. Um, and then replace that with an activity that will actually make the mindset shift like you were just talking about, right?
Yes, it's
Hmm.
about the shift. You have to find that one thing that's going to help you shift from being a
Yes.
victim
Yes.
to to being a winner.
Hmm.
That's it. That, but you have to identify that pattern which is actually holding you back. That
Hmm.
is something that you have to clearly identify. There
Yeah.
will be a lot of limiting beliefs. You have to keep repeating, as you said, affirmations, like that.
Mm.
Those are the things that actually help, you know, get over
Yes.
this bad habit of being. Yes, I'm not trying to demean victims. Yes, there
Of
are
course.
victims, but yeah, but you have to like thrive, right? You
Mm.
cannot live like that forever. Yes,
For
you
too
can
long.
vent it out, but after venting it out, you have cleared your head of, you've cleared enough space to replace it with something positive.
Yeah. And I
So
think you
identify that.
yeah, and I think you'll agree with this. The best way to vent is to journal. That
Yes.
ways you
Yes.
quarantine the whole problem. Like that ways you
Yeah.
don't give all this negativity to somebody else so that they can actually multiply it by 10 and give it back to you. Versus
Yes.
just put it in the
Mm.
journal and never have to look at it again.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
That's the best way.
Journaling is life saving, literally. Like,
Is it?
it's such a simple activity. And I used to do this in school, and I used to do it, like, I think in college as well. But it kind of like, you know, the busy life takes over, and you're like, ah, who has time for all these things? But
Yeah.
there is like, there is a science, or there is a good reason behind doing these things. It's
Yes.
just to clear your head. because
Right.
your head is already filled with so many things. You can really do with clearing it a bit once,
Yeah.
every day if possible.
I love
Yeah.
it. So these are
Mm.
such great tips and like such a great conversation. I'm absolutely loving it. Let's just catch up on the comments quickly. Ankit said a
Yeah.
brilliant topic that needs to be talked about more in today's cutthroat post-COVID work environment. Toxic workplaces affects not only the self but the business as well. Absolutely, right? Like if your performance is degrading, it is affecting the bottom line of the business. And of course, for the sake of this conversation, we're focusing on the individual efforts that one can take. But of course, we can have an entire day worth of talks on the institutional
Yes.
change that has
Yes.
to follow.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I
Mm.
love that. Anything you want to add to Ankit's comment and what he's referring to when it comes
Now,
to
what
like
he said is absolutely true because you like one of the ways how toxicity increases is when management puts a lot of unwanted pressure on
mm-hmm,
you to get more business. But actually what's happening is your confidence is chipping away. You are not able to perform 100%, or you're not able to give your best. And how is it helping the business in any way? It's actually you're not bringing in more customers. You're not, improving your business in any way with
right.
a toxic environment. But on the other hand, let's say it was a positive environment and you were not emotionally drained or mentally drained.
Mm,
You would want it would come from within that, yes, I want to do a good job today. I want to bring
mm,
in more customers. I want to grow this business because it
right.
means a lot to me. So it becomes personal, it becomes like a personal goal to
Yes.
get business, to get work done. It's like you're actually making it more about yourself then. But
Mm.
if there's too much pressure and all, then it just changes how you view it. That's all.
Yeah, I love it. Next is your husband. Shivang says, let's all be mentality monsters and have that winner mindset.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh,
and
we have
then
so many sport conversations and he goes on rambling a lot, but I just pick up the things that I like out of
I love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Pranshu says that's a really nice topic. I wish you more power, Miss Anupama. Oh, I love it. Excellent. So, thank you so much, audience members, for like contributing. Please keep commenting. And now let's switch gears because we just uncovered what toxicity is. We uncovered the blocks people face when they're trying to switch, and now we've given people a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
But
Thanks.
let's
Thank
move
you so
on.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. But now let's move on to a little bit more tactical stuff, meaning, sure, I should journal, I should wake up early, I should do all these other things that you talked about, Anupama, but I am not even able to wake up in the morning. So, with I know with your program, you want to fix this problem for people. So, talk to us a little bit about how your program could actually help people and women specifically quit their toxic jobs with confidence, and how you could support them in this whole transformation from being a victim for too long, from being stuck for too long, to now finally breathing some fresh air and like moving towards a better future.
Yeah, so yes, excited about this.
Yeah.
So as you already mentioned, I have been a quality professional, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
always look at things from a quality point of view, and that is something that I've embedded in my program as well. So some
Mm-hmm.
of the things which I like, if I were to go over the thing that I would want to identify is what is the root cause behind
Mm-hmm.
wanting to quit? Like, is it something about your job? Is it something about you?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that is actually, holding you back from whatever it is that you want to decide for yourself? So understanding the root cause is really important because when somebody comes and tells you, I want to quit the job, it's not great, this that, you can easily think that, yeah, let me just help her quit, let me get her a new job and it'll be done. But again, she's going to go to the next job, start feeling the same thing, and
Yeah.
the whole cycle repeats, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why understanding what is the root cause behind this and then working on that, working to correct that root cause is what I believe is the right solution for this.
Mm-hmm.
And after finding the root cause, then we can strategize exactly how we want to go about with the quit. Like I
Right.
already mentioned before, how we can strategize, how we understand our whys, how we decide our non-negotiables. Then we start networking, when we start applying for jobs, improving our resume, all those things, of course. But understanding the root cause, then taking the corrective action, so that this is not just like a temporary solution, this is a permanent solution. If ever you have to encounter this again in future, you would know exactly how to go about with this, and it wouldn't be so much of a problem. Then you'll be like, yeah, I know this, I know this, I can
Mm,
do this, I can do this. So you will have that much of confidence that whenever you encounter this in future,
mm.
I know exactly what to do. So it's
Oh,
like a foolproof solution to your
yes.
problems. So
Yeah.
that's what my area of focus is. And also at the same time, continuous improvement, Kaizen,
Yes.
which is,
I want to
yes,
start
of course,
clapping.
how
Like,
can,
I want to stand up and start clapping because this all sounds so incredibly thought through and like
yeah,
so urgent and so like, because that's the other thing. I think that's the best thing about what you just shared in your program is like, you don't want to band aid this because I think a lot of people, that's the
yeah,
biggest mistake people make because they're so bogged down. Because one, they let things get really, really bad where now they can't stay anymore. That is clearly poor management on your own part, like poor leadership, poor understanding of like what your life, where your life's going. Once you've let it get that far, now you just want to get out, and to get out you're going to put yourself in another position out of desperation, which is probably going to look the same in some time because you just didn't do the work. And I can bet on this, there are people watching this video or listening to this podcast that have been in those cycles for their entire careers. I've actually worked with people who've retired and never fixed that problem. You know, they just went from job to job, title to title, team to team, and just never found themselves in their career, never found their zone of genius, never found like joy in their work because they just kept thinking it's a small problem, let me just move on. Or, oh, it's just the job, it's just the manager, it's just the team. And that's fine, and that's true a lot of times. But if you don't do the root cause, if you don't build a way to deal with this, then this kind of just chases you around. And even though you quit and you can be really happy about it, it's just where you're going to be in a year. So this long-term thinking of like, let's find the root cause, let's put a corrective action, let's put in continuous improvement so you never have to be here again, is just, I'm just really excited.
yeah. I mean, you have to understand that you cannot keep going through the cycle every other job. It's going to repeat. I'm not saying that you will find the best workplace.
Mm,
What if you find a workplace which looked really nice at first,
yes.
but again you're seeing a lot of say, similar patterns happening again? What do? You don't want to like sit and crib about it, like, ah, man, again, not again. Oh,
Mm,
like, oh, okay, it's happening again, but this time I know what to do. So
yeah. Just keeps getting a little bit better.
that's my aim. Yeah, that's my aim for those who uh, decide to enroll for the program. I want them to come
Mm,
out of the program as the best, confident version of themselves, and not just put as you said, put a band-aid on it, and like, let's say I get help them get another job. I can
mm,
do that. That's not that's not something that's great. But actually identifying what
mm.
the actual problem is, the root problem is,
Yeah.
and fixing that, that's my aim.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes you said it early on in the podcast, but I think sometimes we are the problem and we don't even know it.
Yes, we are.
So we can blame it on the
Yeah.
workplace and the team and the manager,
Mhm.
but sometimes we are the problem. And we just never have the courage or the humility or even the wisdom to sit and understand that. Like I think Maria was sharing, right? Like when she is a
Mm.
business owner and when like when she realized she's being a bad boss to herself, I think that's really wise of her. But a lot of times we don't even think like that. We just want to blame somebody. We just want to put it on someone else's back and be like, whatever, like I'm moving on, you know? And I think if you work with a coach, the first thing that happens, especially someone like Anupama, the first thing that'll happen is like, let's look inside, let's look within, let's look at ourselves first, and let's look at that root cause that and it could also be a combination of what you're doing and what the workplace is doing. So this is just fantastic. I'm so proud and so excited to see all the people that are going to come out of this. So how can people know more about it? And also, is this specifically for women or is it for everybody?
I love working with women because I'm all for women empowerment. Yes, it's for women mainly, and specifically for working moms because that's the category of women that I
Mm,
most
fashionable.
associate with, being one myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I can identify you, me, and all. We can identify with the problems a working mom goes through so much better. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's women, working moms. Yes, sorry, guys.
But you can still message or you can still refer Anupama to your partners, wives, friends.
Yes, yes.
So I love it. So where can women find you and connect with you to learn more about this program?
I think LinkedIn would be the best platform for that. And if they want to know more about my program, that I have a calendar which is open. You can book a call with me, and I can help you understand what the program is all about, and
Yeah.
if I'm the right coach for you. All those things, everything. We can even talk about it. That's on the call. That's what.
I love it.
There
So
are
I actually have
options.
a QR code here to book a call with Anupama. And if you are watching live or watching this recording later, you can just scan the QR code. For anybody listening to the podcast, the link will be in the episode notes. And I just want to read this comment quick. Hina says, it is admirable how a young lady like yourself can sound so confident, succinct, proud of you, Anu. I was an absolute mess at your age.
Yeah, that means a lot to me.
Oh, awesome. And
Yeah.
then Kirti mentioned that this conversation just reminds me of past events at workplace. I love the concept of mentality monsters. We have another one,
Yeah. All
Maria
thanks
said.
to Shivang.
Maria said, I love the TV series Ted Lasso. So many lessons, advice, and empathetic leadership from the world of football. Lasso distills his approach into four main things: conditioning, versatility, awareness, and belief. Oh my God, I love it. Oh, huge Ted Lasso
Yeah.
fan here. So love it. This has been such an incredible conversation, and people interacting is literally one of my favorite parts of this. But
Yeah.
before we let you go, I want to ask you, what's your favorite book?
Ah, yes. I was waiting for that. Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to fiction, there's this book called Shantaram. Have you heard of
Mm.
it? It's
Yes, I've
by
read it, but I was
Gregory.
really young. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember
I think
much.
I read it. I read it when I was 23 or 24. I don't know. I was a mess, a total mess at that point, having no clue how to go about. And although it's fiction, although it's like a really fat book, that
Mm,
book really got me out of a very defeated stage in my life. Like that
mm,
was a time, it was one of my lowest lows, and
mm,
I believe that that book saved me.
mm.
Every page of that book, like the story is really good, and
Yeah.
I think it's partly true as well. But
Yes.
apart from the story, there are so many lines, so many
Mm,
quotes in almost every page of that book, which makes made so much sense. It's about love, it's about life, it's about even the universe. Just like The Alchemist has a lot of
yes.
universe quotes, right? So it made
Yes.
total sense, and I used to like. I was so fascinated by this book that I used to
Mm.
like jot down all these interesting quotes from the book in my
Wow.
iPod. This was the time when iPods were in, so I would like jot them down in my iPod, and in future whenever I was stuck, I would just go through some of those quotes,
Oh,
and they I would find something which would help me out in those situations. And
oh.
when it comes to nonfiction, I think you know which book I like, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So that is a book which my husband has been recommending me for ages, and I
Mm.
ignored reading it. And then you recommended it. I'm like, okay, now I'll read it. So he
Oh,
keeps telling me when Pressure says something, you
you
will
do
do
it.
it.
That's the
Yeah.
same thing
So
too. I don't listen to my husband. I just listen to coaches, even though he's right.
yes.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. This and
Mm.
then and again, thank you so much, Anupama. I'm really excited to see what's to come next for you. It was such a wholesome conversation. I think it's one that needs to be had. I think people are stressed, overworked, um, really feeling the pressure of a lot of these macro situations that are out of our control. And that kind of makes us feel more out of control. And this conversation and your work is all about taking that control back and being like, okay, like the macro elements can impact my life, but I still have the joystick, I still have control, I still have ways to maneuver this time of stress and uncertainty. And just like we all grew through COVID, we can grow through our own set of challenges, whether it's a toxic workplace, or whether it's career confusion, or any of those big challenges that we might be facing. But I think it's a great effort and initiative that you're taking. I recommend everybody to check out your profile, look into your work, and get in touch with you if they are feeling stifled by these career challenges that we discussed today. Any last words before we jump off?
Yes, of course. Like I wanted to use this analogy a while back, but I'll use this ending
Please. Yeah.
as the best. I think this is the best time to say it. Whenever we have I had a wisdom tooth problem when
Mm,
I was at the peak of my toxic work. At the
mm,
peak, I had a wisdom tooth problem, and it starts as a tooth pain, and then it starts radiating to the ears, and then it starts hitting the head, and then at some point you know that you have
mm.
to remove it. Okay, it's it's very similar. A toxic job is the exact same thing. It's
Oof.
the wisdom tooth that needs to be extracted. If you're letting it stay for way too long, it's going to get into your head. It's going to
Mm,
start affecting you more than you think it does. And
mhm.
some of the times you may not realize it, but a lot of things happen because of that toxic
Yes.
environment you're in. You're emotionally drained, you're mentally and physically, you're
Mm,
falling sick all the time, even a
yeah.
simple thing like that. So if you have recognized that it is a toxic workplace, extract it, remove it, physically and mentally distance yourself from it, and I promise that I'll do my best to make you your confident best. So that's what I want to say to everyone listening.
I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
so excellent. So great.
Mm.
So energizing. Thank you so much, Anupama, for taking the time, joining us in the very busy month of February where your daughter is going to turn 1. She's a leap year baby, guys.
Yes.
That's so wonderful.
Yes.
um,
So
and yeah,
excited.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all of you guys. I mean, you, Shivang, and again, you guys are wonderful. And thanks for everybody who joined live and made this session so much fun. Again, thank you so
Yes.
much, Anupama. I recommend everybody to follow Anupama, book a call with her, see how she can help you, and again, reshare this video so more people can watch it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Her STEM Story. But bye, Anupama.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, that was Anupama Udayan with her incredible STEM story and what she is going to do for women who are wanting to quit their toxic jobs. So check her out with the links in the episode notes. And thank you so much for being here. Her STEM story is back in full force this year, and I cannot wait to bring you more incredible guests. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again